I just saw a proclamation from the mayor saying that this is officially DC VegFest Day. So there's a lot of excitement going on.
Yeah, I mean, the city's been really supportive of this event in so many ways. In 2009 was the first year we hosted this, and we really had no idea what to expect. So we told vendors who signed up to expect maybe 1,000 people. We were hoping for 1,000. And over 2,500 people showed up. Restaurants ran out of food. They had to go back to restock. And we realized at that moment that we were onto something. This event is designed for vegans and vegetarians to come out and have fun, but their job is to bring out their pre-vegan friends and family to explore everything there is about vegan eating, all of the benefits, the joys, the flavors, and the amazing cuisine available here in the nation's capital.
There's so much great stuff there. One of my favorites is just the phrase pre-vegan. Your organization, you in particular, was the first time I heard that phrase pre-vegan. I'm not saying you coined it or anything, but for me, you coined it, and I've been using it ever since. You guys vegan?
We're learning.
Pre-vegan, but we're glad you're here, and we hope you sample the things and get a little taste.
Absolutely.
All right, that's what it's all about. It's the greatest way to identify these groups that are really partners. We want to view them as an opportunity to just experience it and maybe make a decision that this is something that they want to adopt.
Have times like 2 or 3 months where I'll just go just because.
Yeah, I mean, this is all a learning process of discovering foods that are healthier for us, foods that are better for the environment. And as an organization, Compassion Over Killing, focused on farmed animal advocacy, what's better for animals overall.
People have sympathy and compassion for a lot of animals, but one of the species that has been typically overlooked has been fish. People think of the larger animals, mammals, birds, even lizards, but fish have been overlooked.
So most of us really care about animals, the dogs and cats in our homes, particularly. And in our society, we have decided to draw a line between the animals we consider family companions and those we consider animals okay to eat.
This is the first time that you're taking that child. I don't think we're because police are bringing it around.
So whereas we can empathize more with animals that are more like us, dogs, cats, cattle, pigs, fish are so different from the animals that most people relate to that I think people just like to pretend that they don't feel pain.
That's interesting. And you can also maybe psychologically think about, that whole manufactured division between red meat and white meat and all that types of things. Like even like pork chops is a red meat. It's a red meat, but scientifically and everything else. But from the marketing standpoint, it's been advertised as the other white meat. And you can almost trace in some of the official journals and paperwork that clash between marketing and science.
So part of our job as an organization is to educate people about how animals are really treated.
Fish do feel, they can feel pain, they do think they can suffer. When I was a child, I used to go fishing with my father, and the older fishermen would tell me, if you catch a fish, kill the fish quickly with a stick or a blunt object on the head. It's because they understood fish feel pain. I think the current idea that fish don't feel pain is part of a backlash to the animal rights movement.
We are discovering more and more people are learning about it, and now they want to know what to do.
What can people do in their everyday life? There are people who are very religious, for example, and fish is a very big part of that story. So what can you do to sort of have people put aside their own personal beliefs and everything else and really take a look at fish as an endangered species being attacked?
Well, the first thing I think people need to do is to just take a second to ponder it and accept the fact that fish do think, fish are capable of feeling pain and suffering. Once you have that understanding, then the next logical step is, well, what can I do to lessen the amount of suffering that fish experience? I think the most immediate step is to stop eating them.
So this festival is sort of the what you do next, how you can discover the foods, incorporate. You don't have to be vegan overnight. Most of us, I'm a vegan now. I didn't go vegan overnight. Most people don't go vegan overnight.
Reduce your consumption. Try to avoid some of the worst ways that fish are killed. And when I say fish, I include things like crustaceans, like lobsters and crabs, who are boiled to death or steamed to death. That's obviously a torturous way to die. So I would encourage people to go at the pace that they feel is comfortable and explore all the wonderful plant-based alternatives that are available now.
Veganese tartar sauce. Of course, they don't make this, but it supports what you can do. Veggie scallops. Look at that. Who would have known? Veggie scallops. And there's another brand, vegetable scallops, spelled with a K to differentiate between those two. So, I mean, there's options out there. If there's something that you really enjoy that makes you think, you know, there's no way I'm going to give up fish, well, you're really saying that and approaching that without even doing even the smallest, slightest bit of research.
So that's why we talk about pre-vegans, because everyone is in an exploratory process of how they can eat healthier, more sustainable, and kinder for animals.
Julia Child, who ate all sorts of animals, but she did not boil lobsters to death. She has a technique for killing them quickly. So the understanding that fish feel pain, it's not a new understanding. It's understanding, I think, that has been lost on modern society.
You know, try new foods. Even if you don't become vegan tomorrow, we're hoping you'll discover a new food to cook at home. That's why we have cooking demonstrations, or a new restaurant you really enjoy and want to go eat there more and eat plant-based cuisine more and more in the DC area.
I am with one of our authors in the vegan movement with the book Salud. I want to say salad almost, but for obvious reasons. But Salud, a vegan Mexican cookbook. I'm here with the author, Eddie Garza, and his book features 150 mouth-watering recipes from tamales to churros.
I'm so happy to be here talking about vegan Mexican food. I always say that vegan Mexican food is going to change the world because it's got so many flavors that you can apply to any plant-based protein to make a better world for yourself, for the animals, and of course just the planet.
Well, what's great about it is everybody loves Mexican food. And so I almost like to say it's not really vegan Mexican food, it's just good Mexican food.
Absolutely. A lot of great Mexican food is all about the technique. I've been cooking for as long as I can remember. I used to spend all of my childhood growing up. I spent my childhood growing up with my grandma in her kitchen, and I learned all of the amazing flavors from her part of Mexico, which is central Mexico. But then I also ate a lot of my father's foods that were northern Mexican. And the blend is really amazing. A lot of the stuff in central Mexico is already naturally vegan. Before the Europeans came to Mexico, a lot of the food was vegan. Most of the food was actually vegan. In fact, the Mayas and the Aztecs had some really amazing agricultural systems to grow fruits and vegetables, like squashes that are really big in Mexico and central Mexico, and also black beans. But my father's part of the country, there was a lot more meat and a lot of spices that went into these meats. So what I've done is I've blended a lot of these flavors that people love from ancient Mexican recipes to modern Mexican recipes and veganized them pretty easily with a lot of different spices.
That's great. It's interesting how culture plays a part in not only what we eat, but how we eat. When you talk about lobsters and that type of thing, it goes back to marketing as well, because initially these were thrown away to poor people and commoners as trash food, right? And marketing came in and redefined that relationship, and now it's become an exclusive property. So we've never factored in the, for lack of a better word, the humanity of these creatures and our relationships to them. We've only just been zombies to whatever the commercial marketing was at that time. So it should give us pause to think, are we on automatic pilot, or are we actually thinking about why we're eating something and for what purpose. In my memory, we sort of associate a lot of foods. I come from a culture of soul food, and a lot of it is perceived as animal-based. So it's very interesting to go back to your roots, no pun intended, and sort of see how much of it was natural and plant-based. And it kind of, people who really want to connect to their culture, it gives them that extra incentive to do something that's not only healthy and good for the environment, but delicious as well.
We felt really strongly about wanting to have a very positive and fun way to introduce people to vegan cuisine. And vendors jumped on board because I think a lot of them were really excited about showcasing what it is they have to offer.
You'd be surprised at how many opportunities are out there now. Just with the vendors and the restaurants here, there's so many concentrated and they're spread across the city.
There are so many restaurants in the DC area that are either all vegan restaurants or that are catering to the increased demand for vegan food.
One of my favorite recipes is garban chorizo, which is a Mexican chorizo. It's got so many spices and it's absolutely amazing.
Some of the vendors come just to give out free food samples, and all of our restaurant vendors, we encourage them to let people try their food, give out free samples.
I hope you got to try my queso fundido, which is that Mexican cheese sauce.
I think I'll make a trip right after this interview.
And that's a big draw for people too, because if they don't have to financially commit to any of this, they can just try it, then they're more open to it. And we all know that the best way to someone's heart is through their stomachs.
Absolutely. You know, one of the great recipes that I have in my book is a chile con queso, which is a very modern Mexican dish. But what I've done is I've used one of the oldest foods in Mexico. I've used squash as the base for this cheese sauce that you can use for nachos. You can use it just for dipping. It's absolutely amazing. All the things that we had in Mexico, we're still using them today. They're still the staples of Mexican food. Corn, beans, and these squashes.
Everybody hates the idea of giving up cheese, and finding out that you don't have to is going to be something that really appeals to a lot of people.
This event is really designed as a DC-based community event, but because we're in the nation's capital, we have such a great opportunity to set the stage for a national dialogue on our healthy, compassionate, and sustainable eating.
Cow-nosed stingrays are indigenous to the Chesapeake Bay. Every summer they come to the bay to give birth. They give live birth. And every summer for a number of years, bow fishermen have been organizing killing contests where the point is to kill as many rays as possible, and the person who kills as many by weight wins a cash prize. Afterwards, the rays are dumped into the river. 3 years ago, we documented all of this on film. And we spent the last 3 years working to stop these killing contests. And this year, Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland signed legislation outlawing these killing contests.
I would definitely put that in the win category.
It has grown every year since then. And it's a fun festival. We have great speakers who come out. We have a kids activity zone. It's a barking lot for your dogs, a beer garden, swag bags. You get, with the first 1,000 people who come in, will get a free bag. You don't have to wait in line to get the bag. You can just come in. It's a free event. There's no fences. There's no gate. There's no tickets. Just come in, have fun.
Absolutely. And I know you're very busy, so I'll end with this, but it really is the environment. It's very casual, fun. It's not antagonistic. It's not threatening. So like you said, pre-vegans, vegans alike can come here almost unsuspectingly and just enjoy it and just start naturally inquiring about more. And that is really a good foundation. I applaud you for setting that sort of template. And I think we're going to bring a lot more people next year as well. All right. Ciao.
All right. Thank you very much. Really sorry.
Thank you. Bye now.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. This is C with Yes Vegan, signing out.
How many people are here because they're just starting to find out and become interested in more plant-based styles of eating and more plant-based products? Who's here because they're vegan, and greedy, and hungry? Nice.
Let me tell you first about who I am. My name is David Carter. I played in the NFL. I played played for the Cardinals, Cowboys, and I played at 317 pounds as a beekman in the NFL and playing defensive line. So I started out eating meat like everybody else, and my family owned a barbecue restaurant, as a matter of fact, in Los Angeles. So that's pretty much that's as close as you can get to living in a butcher shop. And right, here was over there chopping up. I don't want to talk about it. We're all vegan. We are.
Okay, I just burnt the tablecloth. You guys are gonna kill me. Oh boy. Wonder if I'm gonna get a bill. I just put a hole in the beautiful DC VegFest tablecloth. I didn't realize this was on, so. Okay, I'm one of those chefs, I never spill anything. I never burn anything. Don't believe me for a second.
At a certain point, friends, our excuses expire. The issue is real because their agony's dire. For the chicken and salmon and buffeted pup and the cow at the slaughter, it's time to stand up. Thank you.